When I think about it, in as much as I do believe that I could make a probably much better dating app for today, the problem is I don't think it would be profitable at all because I'd be doing a lot of things that would be counterintuitive towards making such an app quite profitable. But that requires an entire discussion of which before I can do any of that, where are my manners? I should have started with an intro. So, welcome to the Breakdown Podcast, where I talk about love, sex, and relationships from a guy's perspective, as well as a bunch of other guy shit. The man on the mic is Sir Denver B. This is a shorter, less edity, no instrumentally version of the podcast where I basically just talk about one topic for around about 15 minutes, and I kind of have it in between seasons so that I can just have something simple to talk about, not that much to do, and a chance to actually have a break from all of the recordings, so that when I come back and I do the full episodes, they are a lot better and I'm more lively. It's basically like the content that I put out because I'm on leave, if I can call it like that. But all that said, I should probably just dive straight into what I want to talk about because I don't know if I'll have enough time for everything. Now, I was on Reddit not too long ago and I stumbled across a topic about dating apps and Gen Z. Now, I'm going to read exactly what was written on the post because it did spark up something that I've been thinking about for quite a while. So the post itself says, and I quote, "I've seen so many complaints about dating apps by Gen Z, which I'm a part of, and I've been wondering, what features would make those apps better for us? For example, I've seen many talk about dating app fatigue. So should apps reduce the number of swipes you get in a day but make sure that the algorithm matches people better? Or should they allow people to communicate in other ways, e.g. add games to get to know who you matched with better, like this or that? I'd like to know what y'all think." End quote. Okay, now this is something that I have thought about before. And it's something that has kind of, tickled my mind a little bit every so often, where every single time I see people complaining about dating apps today, I'm like, okay, we could try and find a way of getting rid of dating apps because dating in and of itself isn't supposed to be as quick as dating apps make it. But at the same time, we're in a world where there's apps for just about everything. People are trying to simplify most things in their lives. And essentially, the dating market and dating does have its problems, which dating apps probably should be able to solve, especially in today's day and age, considering that there's so many people that are having trouble just trying to find mates and trying to find good people to date. So, it definitely does have its place. Now, of course, when I was looking at the different supposed quote-unquote features that should be or should make up dating apps, there were going to be a bunch of people that were going to say, you know what, just do away with them completely. And in and of itself, much as it's not a bad idea, it doesn't answer the question. So it's actually counterintuitive because when you do away with dating apps, then you're not exactly answering the question of what would you do to make dating apps better. That's essentially running away from it. And when you kind of think about it, it is kind of like the reason I'm refusing to look forward is because it just looks better when I look back at what it is that we've had. And I can get the nostalgia, I can get the desire to take things back to how things were back in the day when we didn't have dating apps and you'd have to meet someone the old school way and take things slow and everything. But hey, this is something that I'd consider more of an inevitability than something that we should probably avoid. So maybe, just maybe, we should try and look at actually trying to make dating apps better. Or, in my particular case, what we could envision as a much more ideal or a much better dating app. Now, I will start by giving full disclosure. I haven't used the dating app much. I haven't used Tinder all that much. I haven't used Bumble all that much. I do have people close to me that have used it and have given their thoughts on it. Plus, I have, seen them actually use it. But even with that said, I do still think that whatever ideas I may have might actually be better than what current dating apps actually offer. And, I kind of would want to start going into some of the things that I'd probably change. But let's first look at some of the errors that current dating apps are kind of having. The problems that people say they face with dating apps. The first one that most people talk about is the superficiality of it and how shallow it feels because you're basically judging people mainly on looks, of which that doesn't actually determine much in terms of relationship longevity. And you don't even need that much science to look into it or research, but it has been done. And looks, someone's height, someone's earning, it does not correlate to better relationship satisfaction in the long term. So, that is definitely an issue that we need to kick out. Then there's the issue of dating app fatigue. You swipe, you've seen so many people, and it's like you're swiping left and right on different people, and it basically gets to a point where you kind of get tired of the whole swiping issue, of which that is something that I'd also want to look at, because you're basically going through 50, 100 plus people just trying to find someone that you actually like. And well, let's be very honest, if you're in a position of advantage, like for example, if you're a woman on a dating app, it gets to a point where it kind of feels like a game. And I have seen women basically swiping left and right on guys, and it's mainly based off of them looking at those individuals' images for half a second, quite literally half a second. So that is something that I'd want to look at. Then the other issue is, dealing with the creeps, dealing with people that will basically be saying some of the dumb shit and may not know how to interact with you. And so, you know what? I think I can figure something out of all of this, So let's see. If I was to have an ideal dating app, and I'm hoping no one just takes this and uses it to make an actual app, because it's going to fucking suck if someone eventually makes something out of the exact information I've given. But that's sort of besides the point. I'm doing this for the content, I hope. Anyways. So first thing I'd probably do in terms of setting up my ideal dating app, I'd have limited time, or should I say I'd have limited checks in terms of time and in terms of quantity of potential partners. So within your vicinity, I'd probably limit that shit to maybe 10, 20, maybe if I'm really pushing it 30, such that you can't swipe that many times on that many people. And if you have say 10 swipes in a day or 20 swipes in a day, but yeah, let's actually just stick with 10 swipes in a day, then you're probably more prone to utilize all of those swipes in a lot better of a way, in that you can actually go and look at the profile, see what the person has to offer, try and see if this is someone that you'd want to talk to or interact with. And it's not just a right, left swipe, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It's just a simple, okay, so there's this person, let me look at their features, almost like looking at their top trumps in some way, shape, or form. So that's something that I'd probably have. Also, I wouldn't want you to swipe yes on, say, more than 5 people. And even though you have a maximum of say 5 people and you drop one, you can add another one. And, maybe the place where I'd probably put money on it is to increase the number of swipes that you can have in a day, and to increase the number of potential saves, quote unquote, or should I say people that you're interested in, which now moves it on to something else that I'd probably put there. I would, instead of just putting a feature where you swipe right and you start texting, I would probably put in a scheduling feature for an event, so that you guys can have an event where you actually meet up, or you can plan a date and actually meet up. And I would probably also include a video call feature, so that you can skip a lot of the texting. And for example, if it's someone who's far off, if it's someone who probably is not very good at going outside or being outdoors, and they prefer something more indoors, or they want the privacy of their home but still be able to communicate with someone, I would probably be you know what, the two of you can video call each other, such that you're not interacting with a scammer. The person that you're going to interact with is someone that is genuine, someone that looks like their photos, and it kind of cuts off a lot of the faff and a lot of the sort of hidden bits that may or may not be noticed when someone texts you or when you text someone else. Also, it increases the chances that you can have a date even though you don't necessarily have a date. So you can cut a lot of the issues that might be in between, or that might make that a lot harder, by just increasing the video call feature and actually pushing people towards going to actually have a date. Then the next one is have a contactless limit of 1 to 2 weeks. So, after about a week of not texting the other person, I would want you to get a notification asking you if you're still interested in said person. If you say yes, it runs on for another 3 days, then it asks you again. If you do not interact with them within the next set of 3 or 4 days, which will make it 2 weeks, it doesn't even ask you, it just puts it as inactive, and you guys don't necessarily have to talk up until you go back, you reactivate the chat, and then you start interacting with the person again. That way, you're not basically keeping someone on hold as they're busy expecting to be interacting with you. So if you're an avoidant, this might probably suck for you, but this is something that I feel would probably work pretty well, such that if you're interested in dating, you can bag someone pretty quickly. It's not about waiting for someone to text back and that being stretched out over months, Then the next thing that I'd probably put in is swiping past people that you would want or not want is fine. You basically have only 10 swipes. So, or at least you basically only have 10 options in a day. So you can just swipe and look at which one you'd want or which one you wouldn't want. And if you'd want them, it's not about swiping left or right. You just click interested. So there'll be a button there. And now it goes to the other person's side. And if they express that they're interested in you as well, then now you can have the bits for like scheduling a date and or, having the video call and or texting as well. Such that it's not about the swiping, it's about you expressing interest and you wanting to be interested or wanting to show that you're interested in the other person, and you taking it out of the app and actually turning it into an actual date. So that's something that I definitely do. Then also, I'd probably have in like the texts, but this is more of like something that I just thought up and I also saw in the comments just like right now before I started recording. Like I'd probably have a couple of prompts that would kind of just kill off the whole hi. And they'd be a very nice way to just start up a convo. And, like it kind of kills the whole issue of starting a conversation. And if you're good at conversations, not necessarily starting, but just keeping them going, then it should help you pretty much, and, it kind of makes it a lot easier for a lot of people. Then the next thing that I'd probably put, which is kind of like last but not least, is I'd make sure that the profiles would have to be considered active for a period of about a month in terms of like you communicating with people, you doing, like showing interest and like swiping and everything. If you don't do that for the period of about a month, then it automatically just sets you as dormant and you are not recommended to anyone. No one can show that they're interested in you. Hell, they won't even see you amongst the number of people that they would like to express interest in. That way, if, for example, you ended up meeting someone but you forgot to deactivate your account or set yourself as dormant, you will not be seen. Also, if you've deleted the app, for the sake of space or some shit, then you will also not be seen. So you've basically pulled yourself off of the platform, which is basically a dating market of its own, and you will not have people in the quote-unquote dating market reaching out to express interest in you because you are no longer in the market. So essentially, it kind of does have you in the dating market, but also kicks you out of the dating market because you're clearly not in it. And, I feel like these would probably make for particularly core principles that would make for good dating apps, in my opinion. Just mostly because it kind of makes the parts of dating that are a pain point for most people kind of easier, but at the same point it makes the bits that are supposed to be more efficient today more efficient, as opposed to just trying to simplify everything and watching it all kind of crumble. And to kind of conclude all of this, I will say that the best dating app that would exist isn't about speeding through a date, or at least speeding through different options to get a date, but rather creating opportunities to find new people that you would or should be interested in and setting up those dates to actually meet and interact with them. Now, while I believe that would make for an amazing dating app, I think it would suck as a business because you have fucked up user retention numbers, and also you're not really trying to keep customers on the app, or should I say you're not trying to keep users on the app, which is what most dating apps are doing, which would absolutely tank your ability to be profitable and even secure funding, at least in my opinion. Although then again, I might be wrong because I'm not in the venture space and it's not like I've actually tried to build said app. So, maybe I'm not seeing everything clearly. But either way, I'd like your thoughts on it. even though you're not necessarily looking at it as a business. The DMs are open. The socials are in the description below. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.